Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is 86 here, back with some more Path of Exile 2 news. And just recently, I think yesterday, GGG uploaded a news post kind of going over some of the things they're working on and some improvements to the overall game from feedback that people have been giving. So I'm just going to kind of go through this and we'll go over it with the community and kind of want to start a discussion in the comments. If people feel like these improvements will be good enough, I guess we'll have to wait and see how they feel when they're actually implemented. But let's just go over the news post here. So, Path of Exile 2 has been live for just over a week. We've addressed some feedback already and are working on more fixes for key pain points in the upcoming patch. The full patch notes are coming soon, but check out some of the more significant changes below. So their first section here is gameplay features. Like we mentioned last week, we'll be adding the capacity to fast travel between checkpoints within an area, as well as adding many more checkpoints to areas. Generally, at all entrances and exits to areas, meaning if you find these first, you'll be able to instantly travel to them to continue exploring. This is just a really good change overall. Some of the zones are just freaking massive. Being able to just teleport around, it'll be good. It'll just help with the tediousness of running maps and running through these large zones when you got to run back and forth or you miss a mob. And so it's good. Overall, good change should just make players happy. This is a buff to overall traversal of areas. We'll also aggressive curve getting more expensive with character level. We have flattened that curve so it doesn't exponentially grow as much. This should generally result in approximately 40 to 50% less gold cost per respec between the start and middle of in-game progression. That's a buff. That's good. Pretty much you will just have lower respec costs. So, if things happen to your character or you want to try something else, it should just generally be easier. It's really good. Trial of the Sekimas. This is like a one really big pain point, I feel like, and what they have to say about this. Players are finding Trial of the Sekimas particularly frustrating in close range, so we reworked how honor damage scales when in close range, as well as fixing an important bug that was actually causing players to take far too much honor damage from damage over time. So dots were apparently doing a lot of honor damage. They've toned that down, so that's good. Honor damage now scales now based on distance to enemies. When in close range, you'll take 35% less honor damage, tapering off as you are further away from monsters. That's really good. Should just give you a little bit more defense at close range. You'll just take less damage to your overall honor the closer you are. So that's good. Hopefully that should help some melee builds. Fixed a bug where damage over time was dealing thrice as much damage to honor as intended, and fixed a bug where honor resistance was only applying to 2/3 of that damage. So dots were just destroying you and destroying your honor. So that's good. Skitter golems no longer use base attack, instead now just explode. I'm not really sure what this was, but apparently maybe their auto attacks were just too much of a problem, so that's good. Serpent clans, these guys suck. Little burrowing dudes. Burrow and ambush attacks now has improved visual telegraphing, cannot be used from as far away. This is just good overall. I don't like those mobs. I don't like the mobs that burrow and just kind of jump up because sometimes they just surround you out of nowhere. It just sucks. Volcanoes created by Rattlecage Fisher Slam now last half the duration. That's a good change because that boss, he would spawn so many volcanoes and they would stay there forever. It was kind of a pain. So that's a good change. In-game and monster balance. Generally, the balance in in-game maps was more punishing than intended, so we toned down the damage in a number of ways and disabled a certain on-death effect where the telegraphing was not as clear as it should have been. Maps no longer have an additional elemental resistance penalties inherently applied at tier 6 and 11 or higher maps. It is now consistent across all the in-game. I think there was a bit of a more resistance penalty the further in you got into maps. I think this is just going to be a consistent resistance penalty all the way through. So that should just be good. Should just make gearing for in-game a little easier. Chaos damage now also scales less aggressively over the in-game. That's good. Chaos damage, from what I hear, is really hard to get in the in-game. I haven't quite made it there yet. So this should just help with that. Chaos damage is a big problem. Critical strikes from monsters now deal 40% less bonus damage. That must have been really overtuned. That should help with one-shots, because most of the one-shots are probably crits. So that's good. Lower the baseline monster density of breach encounters, primarily by reducing the frequency of the elite monsters appearing. I don't think this was good. I think they should have just buffed the other mechanics instead of nerfing this one, but that's just my opinion. Disable the volatile crystals modifier. We'll revisit in the future pending telegraphing improvements. So that's good. That modifier sucked. That's when it spawned those little flowers, I think, that blow up in the little purple explosions. Those things suck. Purple explosion created the volatile plants modifier on rare monsters now deals significantly less damage. It's either that one or that one, but both those suck. So that's good. The Siphon's flash charge modifier on monsters now drains 10 times less flash charges per second. This was unintentionally draining way too many charges. Maybe that's why I was running out of flash charges in some zones. Maybe it was just I didn't never notice that mod, but that's good. These changes should generally result in an in-game that is much more survivable than before, and will continue to address problematic cases and as they arise. So that's good. Hopefully they'll keep, addressing that, working on that, which I have no doubt that they will. They're doing really good with addressing feedback, by the way. Just want to give GGG a shout out. You guys are doing amazing with all the updates already. It's crazy. Character and item balance. We made charm modifiers on belts substantially more common and now appear at much lower levels. The of symbolism modifier now appears from level 23 onwards, and the of inscription modifier now appears from level 64 onwards. This should just make it easier to get extra charm slots. This is just good. I don't know how I feel about charms yet. They seem okay. Electrocute is now 25% harder to build up, but the damage penalty has been removed from the support gem. I mean, that should be good. I mean, no damage penalty at least. Adding new lightning damage and electrocute cluster of the passage tree in between the Rager and Monk sections. That's good. Just more nodes to play around with is just good. It's now more difficult to chain freeze enemies by reducing the amount of freeze buildup applied after a freeze has been applied. This will probably just, I think like chain freezing and exploding large areas of monsters was kind of just a problem. So this will probably just address that a little bit. I don't know. I'm not playing a freeze build. The Hunter's Talisman Nodal now grants +1 charm slots. The small passive skill leading up to it now grants the stat it formerly gave. The charm helper text has been updated to indicate that you cannot have more than 3 charm slots unlocked so that we can add more sources of it in the future. Okay. Alright, so skill and support gem balance. Since launch, we've unfortunately had to nerf a few skills that were far too overpowered. How do we define overpowered? Basically, it's a situation in which a certain skill is so powerful that players feel no other method of playing the game is viable. Generally speaking, we are trying to do this in a way that doesn't make a build bad, but we can make mistakes. Ideally, any truly meta shifting changes will only happen at the same time as content patch with new league to play in. But that doesn't mean we haven't been looking at underpowered skills and support gems. We got a number of changes planned which should improve some of these skills. The full list of changes will be in the patch notes, but here's a sample of what you can expect. Improvements to rolling slam and all shield skills in the mace section. Improvements to various bow skills, especially the skill used to generate frenzy charges. Improvements to bone spells and chaos damage over time spells in the occult section. Improvements to various crossbow skills, especially those at higher tiers. Improvements to some of the underachieving quarterstaff abilities. So they're just buffing pretty much. They probably go through and see the things that are all really not being played, and they're just probably going to buff all those up a little bit. So that's really good. I really hope that that adds more viability into more skills, because I was trying to play mercenary, but Act 2 final boss, I am just stuck. Was it Act 2 final boss? I can't remember where I'm at, but no, Act 3 on normal with my mercenary. I'm just so stuck. It's it definitely feels underwhelming with the crossbow, but that's just me. Alongside all these skill gem improvements, we've also done a passover over the support gems. We've added 2 new supports and removed or lessened the penalties on many others, notably the fire, lightning, and cold exposure supports. Added the trimmer support gem, which can be used to give up to multiple more aftershock skills with a damage penalty. Added the bending support gem, which can be used to give more damage to the command skills of supported minions. The fire exposure, lightning exposure, and cold exposure support gems no longer penalize damage of supported skills. They now have a mana cost multiplier of 120%. These are also some notable nerfs to a few of the remaining overachieving skills. Skeletal Arsonist Spirit costs now match the other 2 skeleton mages. This should result in a slight decrease in the number of arsonists at a higher level. That's really good. I don't feel like arsonists should be as overly used as they are. I just kind of hope minions like survivability gets a bit of a buff. A nerf to the damage over time component on very high levels of Tornado and Vine Arrow. These are never intended to be dealing damage themselves, but more so act as a way for other skills to propagate damage. Magnetic Salvo can now also use your stuck lightning arrows as opposed to those created by your party members. Okay, they must have been having a problem with Magnetic Salvo. As we wind down the holiday season, we wanted to thank you all for our most successful launch so far. We could not have done it without all of your support. A lot of our team will begin to take some much needed rest over the next few weeks, but we look forward to getting back into the new year refreshed and ready for an exciting year of development in 2025. Happy holidays, Exiles. Really nice, man. They've been quick with the updates. They've been doing a lot of good updates. This should just overall improve the end game, improve skill balance. Should just make traversing these larger areas less tedious. So this is all good. They're balancing the game. They're bringing up some of the underpowered stuff, removing some of the penalties from supports. And game should just be less rippy. Yeah, this is all good. All good. I mean, there's a few nerfs, but nothing too crazy. So it's all around a good patch. I can't wait to see it in game. This game is just going to keep improving, and the way they're responding to feedback is amazing. I'll see you guys in raid class. Have a good one. Peace.